Meet the world's first CNG-powered motorcycle, the Bajaj Freedom 125. That is supposed to be a game changer, and of course, against it is the world's largest selling commuter motorcycle, the Hero Splendor. Now, it's not an apples to apples comparison as such, because the CNG will give you more value for money in terms of running costs. But the comparison here is, if you were to choose a commuter motorcycle, you have a lot of daily running around to do. Which one amongst these two bikes should you pick and why? In terms of ride quality, in terms of performance, in terms of running costs. All of those questions we'll try to answer in this comparison. Whether to go for a CNG, whether to go for a tried and tested and the world's largest selling motorcycle, that's the Hero Splendor. Which one should you buy? Let's go find out. But before that, please do like the Car and Bike channel if you haven't yet, so that you get more comparisons, more reviews like this. Hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time we bring you an interesting review or an interesting comparison like this. So, world's largest selling motorcycle, petrol powered, the king of the commuter segment, Hero Splendor, or should you go for the new Bajaj Freedom 125 with CNG? That's what we intend to find out. Let's not waste any time, get into it, what each bike offers.
The Bajaj Freedom 125 definitely is one of its kind. It has an interesting design with a tall stance which is unlike any other commuter motorcycle, and that makes it stand out. The exposed trellis frame as well as the mono-linked rear suspension gives the Freedom a premium touch, and the unique looking headlight, the flat and long supermoto style seat, the tall seat hood though may not be to everyone's liking, as well as the somewhat quirky design, and the Freedom is the heavier motorcycle in this comparison.
Now, one look at the Bajaj Freedom and you will not be left with any doubt that this is the new CNG motorcycle. It looks completely different from anything else that you can see on the street, and to my mind, it's quite a good looking motorcycle. In fact, a lot of people stare at it on the street and looks different, looks unique, and I think that's a big plus point about the Freedom 125. Now, if you look at the seat, it's a flat bench seat. Bajaj says it's the longest in its class, about 785 mm. So, when you sit on it, well, of course, the seat height is something to be taken into account. It's a full 825 mm. For reference, my height is 5 feet 9. I don't have any problems reaching both sides quite comfortably. But I feel the biggest drawback of the Freedom will be its seat height, which many may not find very comfortable because of the tall stance.
In comparison, the Hero Splendor still has a tried and tested design, which just doesn't seem to age, at least in the minds of consumers. It's the lighter motorcycle with a low seat height, which many will find easy and friendly. The new Splendor Plus Xtec 2.0 has a few cosmetic and feature updates, including new dual-tone color options, a LED headlight, and other small changes. But those minor changes don't really make much of a transformation to the overall design of the Splendor.
So the Hero Splendor, one look and you will not be mistaken, this is the Hero Splendor. The design, the silhouette, the stance, it has remained more or less unchanged over many decades and continues to remain so. Now, this is the new Xtec 2.0. It's got a few changes to give it fresh appeal. Number one is the LED headlight. That's new on this, the Splendor Plus Xtec 2.0. And now it gets a pass switch also, convenient thing to have on this class of motorcycles, and a hazard light switch also. Plus it gets the i3S, the start-stop system of Hero, and I think the starter button has also been changed. Earlier, I think orientation was vertical, now it's become horizontal. So small changes, full digital speedometer of course. It has continued to be India's and the world's largest selling motorcycle. So even if you find it ubiquitous, even if you find it very common, people still love it, people still buy it, primarily because it's made a brand for itself, it's made a name for itself as a fuel efficient, reliable, no nonsense motorcycle. So, do you still like it? Do you want some more changes? Of course, new color schemes also. This one has dual tone colors in matte finish on the Xtec 2.0. So, same silhouette, same shape overall, and I think the carrier design has been changed somewhat, the rear grab rail has been changed somewhat, but it is the Splendor that we've seen over so many years that it continues to be that same Splendor. And it's light, seat height is low, you can very comfortably sit no matter your height, flat foot both sides. Light on its feet, 97cc engine, tried and tested engine. So that's the Hero Splendor. Do you still like it? Do you not like it? Do you find it too common? Leave a comment. Let's talk about the Hero Splendor. Why do you think it's still the largest selling motorcycle? Why do you think it's still so popular? Is it the design? Is it the reliability? Is it the name that has made for itself? And will the Freedom be able to unsettle the Splendor in any small way that it possibly can just by being a CNG motorcycle? Let's get that conversation going on the comment section.
Both bikes are designed to offer value and low running costs for users, and to that end, both offer very good value indeed. The Splendor is extremely frugal and fuel efficient, but the Freedom isn't far behind, offering a definite cost advantage on CNG. On the street though, it's the Freedom which looks fresh, has more presence and looks more substantial. The Freedom may be the taller bike, but it's also more comfortable and it gives a sense of being more robust and solid than the Splendor. And when you head out to fill up CNG, it instantly grabs attention, and everyone already seems to know about the first CNG powered motorcycle in the world.
The Freedom 125 has got a smooth and refined engine, and of course it's a 125cc engine, not too much power, but the engine is smooth, the gear shifts slick and precise and quite refined, and overall refinement levels are quite nice, and that really stands out for a Freedom 125. Now in CNG and petrol, there is a slight difference in performance, especially when you're climbing flyovers or climbing gradients. Petrol will gives you that rush a little bit more, and CNG you feel the power tapering off a little bit. But overall refinement levels, I think, is still the Freedom 125 still is a better bike than the Hero Splendor. The Splendor is nice and easy going as long as you're going easy with it, 40, 45, 50 kilometers per hour. But if you're in a hurry, anything above that, 60, 70, 80, the vibrations kick in. And overall, the riding position, although the seat height is low, if you're riding for long hours, this one will not tire you out. But the Splendor is a little tiring if you're constantly riding for about an hour, hour and a half. So in terms of comfort, it is the Bajaj Freedom which makes it a better bike in terms of ride quality, in terms of overall comfort, overall ergonomics. And if you encounter potholes and the like, the suspension damping of the Splendor, it's plush. Yes, of course it's plush, but it's not as comfortable. The Freedom, although the suspension is on the firmer side, it feels like an adventure bike to some extent, because you can take on those potholes without really thinking too much. It's unshakable really. And I think ride quality, this scores over the Splendor. Overall ergonomics, comfort, if you're riding for an hour, hour and a half, the Freedom will not tire you out. But at the same time, if you ride the Splendor, it is a little tiring to ride for extended hours. So in terms of overall engine feel, gearbox, ergonomics, ride quality, suspension, handling, it is the Freedom which is the better bike, a much better bike than the Hero Splendor.
In our tests, the Freedom 125 returned around 85 kilometers per kg of CNG, translating it to running costs of 1 rupee per kilometer in Gurugram. The Splendor returned 65 kilometers to a litre, but petrol is also more expensive at 95 rupees per litre, translating to running costs of 1.5 rupees per kilometer. While CNG is more affordable than petrol, the calculations offer a different picture. To get that advantage in fuel cost, the cost of the Freedom 125 is still higher than the most popular petrol-powered Splendor. And then there are considerations of practicality and convenience. Long queues at CNG stations are something which needs to be kept in mind, as well as the availability of CNG across the country. The Freedom 125 will also need more frequent trips to refill compared to the Splendor, which has more range.
Overall range, if you include the CNG and the petrol tank, the 2-liter petrol tank, the Freedom will give you roughly about 260-270 kilometers range on a tank full of CNG as well as petrol. But CNG is limited, and looking at the queues, right now everybody makes way for a motorcycle, but going forward, who knows how long you have to queue up at the CNG filling station to fill up those 2 kilos of CNG. And this one tank full of petrol will give you about 600 to 650 kilometers on a tank full of petrol. So less trips to the fuel pump, so more convenience there. And on top of that, the Splendor plus Xtec, the price difference between this and this is between 20 to 30,000 rupees ex showroom. So that's a huge price difference. And to make the overall calculations make even, you will have to ride 40,000 kilometers to get the benefits of CNG to compare with the price advantage, outright price advantage of the Splendor. So it's both ways really right now. CNG, if you're willing to queue up in the fuel tanks, you get more mileage, yes, but you have to shell out more for the outright purchase of the CNG motorcycle. The Splendor, for whatever it's worth, it may be too common, it may be everywhere, which you can't ignore in terms of value.
The primary essence of a commuter motorcycle though is economy, and eventually it boils down to running cost and value for the customer. Even with what seems to be an apparent advantage with the cost of CNG, outright purchase cost of the motorcycle also needs to be kept in mind, as well as the easy availability of petrol. All said and done, in terms of pure value, it's the Hero Splendor which still seems to have an edge in this comparison. What would you choose? Petrol or CNG? Hero Splendor or the Bajaj Freedom 125? Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts.